Hey guys, John here from Sun & Gripe Studio. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel once again. In today's video, we're going to compare these Peavey beasts. The 6505 1992 original, so the newest version of the 6505, and the previous version of the 6505, which was made in China. A quick history lesson on these amplifiers. So a couple of decades ago, Peavey made the first version of these amplifiers in the form of the 5150, the block letter version to be precise, and they made that together with Eddie Van Halen, of course. And to some, that is like the holy grail version of this amplifier line. And then a while after that, they changed the block letter logo to the script or signature logo. And when Eddie eventually left Peavey, they renamed the amplifier to the 6505, which was first produced in the USA and then later in China, which is this version. Now, I've had this amplifier for some years and I've enjoyed it a lot. You may have seen it on my channel before. I've used it in a lot of videos. It just sounds great and it has been very reliable so far. So it's just a great amplifier. And a little while ago, Peavey sent me the 6505 1992 original to review and demo on the channel. And of course, this is the newest, the latest and greatest version of this amplifier with some upgrades. So I did an in-depth review and demo talking about this amplifier and demonstrating some tones on the channel recently, which you can watch up here or down here if you're interested. And the 1992 original aims to recreate the tone and aesthetics of the original 5150 block letter version. According to Peavey, over the years since the original version, some things changed component-wise, like the transformers, etc. So they updated the 6505 to get it as close as possible to that original version. So this is as close as you're going to get with a new amplifier to that original block letter design. Also in terms of looks. So in this video, we're going to compare the tones of these amplifiers and see how different they really are tone-wise. And I'm also going to talk a little bit how they differ in feel when you play them in the room. So let's get started with a clean tone. These amps don't do clean super well. They break up easily, but I like their clean tones, to be honest. They have a very full sound, very full range sound. And for that, I'm going to use the rhythm channel with the bright switch on and with a very low gain setting, basically. And the guitar that I'm going to use here is my ESP LTD Phoenix Deluxe 1000 with the Fishmans, with the neck pickup, which is the Fishman Fluence Modern Alnico. The amps will be fed into my RedSeven Amplification Amp Central reactive load, and then into an OwnHammer IR from the brand new RockBox series. It's the V30 EN1999A speaker option to be precise, which is a very, very good sounding V30 specimen. And I'm using the modern 3IR to be precise, so the modern cabinet. Okay, let's take a listen right now. Okay, interesting. So for the clean tones, the differences are quite subtle if you ask me. Now keep in mind that the differences between the amplifiers will become more clear the more gain we use. I do hear a little bit of a difference in the way the amp breaks up and a little bit in the overall frequency curve. But yeah, again, it's quite subtle. Now let's move on to some distorted tones, a distorted rock tone, also with the rhythm channel, but this time with the crunch switch enabled. Again, with the same settings on both the amplifiers, and my guitar of choice this time will be my Gibson Les Paul Custom on the bridge pickup. And the gain on the amplifiers is set to a nice sort of fat mid to high gain tone. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that. Okay, this time around I'm definitely hearing a bit of a difference here that may be perceived as subtle to you guys. It's kind of hard to say how the differences will translate over YouTube, but I hear a difference, definitely. So the 1992 original has a bit more of a warm and compressed sound going on, and not compressed in a bad way, but in a musical way. And the 6505 is a little bit more bright and open and a little bit more pokey in the dynamics. So a little bit more sterile, if you know what I mean. And the 1992 original sounds a little bit more smooth and saturated, basically. And again, perhaps it's hard to hear for you guys, but when you're playing through them, this one definitely sort of feels a little bit more fluid to play and a little bit more smooth. Pretty interesting, but now the real comparison that you guys have probably been waiting for, a comparison of the lead channels, because that's the channel that most people use with these amplifiers. And I believe that the differences are the most evident with this channel. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. The settings on the amps will be close, but I did have to turn the master on the 6505 up a little bit to match the volume of the 1992 original. For this test, I'm using my ESP LTD NW44 with the bare knuckle aftermath pickup in it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a listen right now. Okay, so a quick note about how I did this. Initially, when I reamped these amplifiers on the lead channel, I had the settings set exactly the same aside from the master volume. And again, the 1992 original was very smooth and a bit more warm sounding. And the 6505 was a bit brighter overall, slightly more abrasive, and again, slightly more pokey in the highs. So the 1992 seemed to be a little bit too dark in comparison, so I went back again and raised the presence control a little bit, and the treble control also just a slight touch to compensate, basically. So that's the result that you just heard in the previous lead channel comparison. So in general, for my amplifiers at least, the 6505 is a little bit more bright sounding and a little bit more pokey. And the 6505 1992 original is a bit more smooth, more saturated sounding, and a bit more warm. And I quite like the sound of both. I mean, in terms of clarity, this one is pretty cool, but this one does have some more organic creaminess going on. It's hard to put into words, but I guess a bit more saturated and compressed in a musical way. EQ-wise, you can get them to sound pretty close, but yeah, there's just a little bit of a difference in the feel and in the saturation, basically. And the overall dynamics and pick attack is just a bit different on the amplifiers, especially when you play through them in the room. It's quite noticeable. But of course, I'm very curious to know as to how you are perceiving the differences, so definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But yeah, I like them both. They both sound huge. They both sound like a 6505, so that's great. I do think that I'm gonna sell my 6505 now because I just don't need to, and I prefer the overall tone of this version. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe down below, as that really helps the channel out. I'd hugely appreciate that. And of course, you can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers!